Human history is often etched by the swords of conquerors and the scepters of emperors. We remember Caesar with his mighty Roman legions, or Herod the Great with his colossal architectural feats. Yet, here lies a supreme irony, a paradox that defies all human logic. The single most pivotal moment in history was not placed in the hands of a titan, but entrusted to an illiterate teenage girl living in the dustiest, most forgotten village on the ancient map. What you believe about divine selection might be entirely wrong. In a modern world obsessed with personal branding, polished resumes, and the crushing pressure to be extraordinary, Mary's story serves as a potent antidote. God does not scan for the most impressive profile. He scans for the most willing heart. To grasp the power of this humility, we must strip away the golden halos of Renaissance paintings. We must step into the grit, the poverty, and the harsh reality of first-century Nazareth. Picture Nazareth. It was not a picturesque hamlet with charming red brick houses. It was a rugged, insignificant backwater clinging to the hills of Galilee, home to the poorest of laborers. It was so obscure that the Old Testament never once mentioned it, and contemporaries sneered. Can anything good come from Nazareth? There lived a young girl named Mary. Miriam. She was likely no older than 13 or 14. Look at Mary, not through the lens of theology, but through the lens of reality. She possessed no formal education. Her hands were calloused from manual labor. Her skin was bronzed by the harsh Middle Eastern sun. Her life seemed preordained, like millions of other Jewish women of her time. Marry a poor carpenter named Joseph, bear a brood of children, work herself to the bone to survive, age rapidly, and fade into oblivion without leaving a single scratch on the pages of history. Yet, it was in this place where no one goes, and with a person whom no one knows, that the divine initiated a plan to shake the foundations of the world. This is the nobody problem. We often ask, how can someone with no voice, no status, and no platform possibly carry a mission that alters eternity? Mary represents the silent fear in all of us, imposter syndrome. When destiny knocks, our human instinct screams, "Why me? I am not talented enough, not rich enough, not worthy enough." The turning point arrived with the appearance of the Archangel Gabriel. But pause your imagination. Forget the gentle harp music and soft, glowing lights. Look at the brutal reality of the announcement. Gabriel announced she would carry the Messiah while she was yet unmarried. To us, centuries later, this is a miracle. But to a first-century Jewish girl, this was social suicide. In Judea at that time, the law and social stigma were unforgiving. An unmarried pregnant girl faced not just shame, but a potential death sentence by stoning under Mosaic law. At best, she faced public divorce by Joseph, disownment by her family, and a life sentence as a pariah, living at the very bottom of the social hierarchy. Mary was not handed a glittering crown. She was handed a cross from day one. The invitation of the divine came wrapped in the risk of losing everything: her reputation, her future, and perhaps her life. In that moment, an internal war must have raged. A 14-year-old girl facing the weight of the cosmos. How can I mother the Messiah when I have nothing but poverty and fear? And then, the moment that pivoted history occurred, not with a thunderclap, but with a whisper. I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." This was not the passive resignation of a weak victim with no choice. This was an act of supreme courage. Mary gambled everything she had on an invisible promise. She said yes to risk, yes to uncertainty, and yes to a journey without a map. If you think that after that yes, God rolled out a red carpet for Mary, you are mistaken. Her life became exponentially harder. Visualize the heavily pregnant young couple trekking 90 miles from Nazareth to Bethlehem for a census. There was no luxury carriage, only exhaustion. And upon arrival, reality delivered a cold slap. No room in the inn. The King of Kings, the Savior, entered the world not in a gilded palace attended by royal physicians, but in a damp, stinking stable. Mary, in the throes of labor, had to lay her newborn in a feeding trough for animals. It was in this abject poverty that Mary's philosophy was forged. She learned that divine grace does not guarantee an easy life. It guarantees a meaningful life. Her worth was not determined by whether she gave birth in a palace or a barn, but by who she carried within her. Soon after came the flight into Egypt to escape Herod's genocide. Mary became a refugee, fleeing for her life in a foreign land. God did not keep them in a protective glass case. He allowed them to taste the bitterness of the human experience so that true inner strength could be ignited. The story of the poor girl from Nazareth still burns with relevance for us today, we who are lost in the pressure to succeed. Number 1, the anti-profile mindset. The world tells you, build a perfect resume, get the highest degrees, network with the powerful, and then you will do great things. Mary teaches you, God looks at availability, not ability. Stop waiting until you feel good enough, rich enough, or perfect enough to start your project or pursue your calling. Your imperfection is the very soil where new strength grows. Do not let your background, your personal Nazareth, define the limits of your future. Number 2, the power of radical trust. We live in an era of control freaks. We demand to know the outcome before we take the first step. But Mary's lesson is to embrace the risk of the yes. Dare to walk, even when the map is blank. Peace does not come from the absence of the storm. It comes from knowing who is walking with you through it. Number 3, finding dignity in the mundane. The vast majority of Mary's life was not spent witnessing miracles, but in 30 years of quiet, mundane life in Nazareth, washing clothes, cooking meals, teaching a child to walk, mending tunics. A great life is built from the bricks of ordinary moments. Do not despise the small, unnoticed work you are doing today. You may be nurturing a greatness, a child, an idea, a masterpiece, right in the middle of your daily chaos. From a nameless girl in Nazareth, scorned by her peers, Mary became the most revered woman in human history. Blessed among women, not because she was powerful, sharp-witted, or wealthy, but because she dared to believe that she was worthy of being loved and used despite her smallness. Look in the mirror right now. You might see someone tired, flawed, struggling with bills, and anxious about the future. You see a dull Nazareth, but the divine sees a masterpiece in progress. The challenge, in the next 24 hours, when you face an opportunity that scares you because you think you are unqualified, take a deep breath and whisper Mary's mantra, let it be. Say yes before you feel ready. Because if the universe wasn't afraid to pick dusty Nazareth to start the greatest story ever told, why are you afraid to bet on yourself? What miracle is waiting just on the other side of your fear?